the University of Michigan sentiment report. Now, sentiment declined really sharp, but the part of the report that really took the air out of this market was the inflation expectations. Now, consumers see inflation a year from now 3.8%. Remember, in September, they saw it at 3.2%. Higher prices are hitting everyone. It was reflected in that report. And, of course, indirectly hits the stock market. I want to bring in Simpler Trading VP of Options, Danielle Shay. You know, Danielle, we have back-to-back sessions where we were on the verge, I think, of a potential major short squeeze. Again, going back to last Friday, we were opening lower, closing higher. We were right in the shadows of the 200-day moving average, and we failed. So we failed a couple of times here. Would that itself be a sell signal?
Yes, Charles, and that's especially true because the Nasdaq is forming a bit of a head and shoulders pattern right now. The Nasdaq really needed to continue on up through about 15,500 in the Nasdaq futures for this short squeeze to run into earnings. And now with the rejection and the reaction to bank earnings, it's not looking good for the upside in the Nasdaq.
You know, speaking of the Nasdaq, and just overall, like the put to call ratio in the markets in general, and the overall short positions, the massive bets, hedge funds are massively short on stocks and bonds. Could you take a contrarian view of that?
Certainly you could. And when you look at the market right now, I mean, there's a lot of reasons to be short, right? We have a massive geopolitical risk, especially over the weekend. And the thing is when you look at the put call ratio and it's so high, it is a contrarian signal. It's a buy signal. But you have to remember that nobody is going to cover those short positions as long as the market's going down. So it's only a buy signal when the market gaps up, breaks through resistance, and starts going. That's the moment where we can buy this contrarian signal.
Now, I know you came into the day, you were cautiously optimistic about JPMorgan. So the great report, stocks acting pretty good right now. Would you become an aggressive buyer?
I like JPMorgan. I think that this is the best out of the bank stocks. I like the technicals. It's sitting up against a key support zone. And I think that, yes, you could buy JPMorgan here. The stock has been consolidating for a while and it hasn't done too much, but I still like this name in the space. And I do really like the way that they performed on earnings this quarter.
You know, Danielle, for a while, like last year, you would come on the show. You were a swashbuckler, right? Like, hey, we want to be positioned in these things before the earnings report, before the XYZ report. Now you're sort of saying, hey, you know what? Maybe it's not the best thing for investors to get in front of these news reports or these events. Maybe people should think twice.
So, Charles, I'm just doing it in a little bit of a different way. So we have a situation right now where the VIX has been rising. We have high volatility. And because of the way that the market's been so volatile over the past year and a half, it provides an opportunity for options traders to come in and sell premium. However, what I'm not doing is I'm not coming in directly before an earnings report and buying calls or buying puts just because of the way that the market has behaved over the course of the last 2 quarters on earnings.
So then what do you do here? I mean, it's just this sort of odd holding pattern for the most part. Have you built a big cash position?
Yes, I have built a big cash position. And right now what I'm doing is I'm getting ready because October seasonally is a pretty good time to buy. I mean, generally, especially going into next year, we have an election cycle. This pullback in the market, and if that short squeeze does really set off, could be a fantastic buy. I just think that right now with the ongoing geopolitical issues, I think that we should be a little bit cautious. And ideally, going into this earnings season, if we can get some positive reports from Netflix, from Tesla, from Microsoft, especially when sentiment is a little bit weak, that could be a massive buying opportunity.
All right, well, hopefully we can get you back on as that's happening. Danielle, thank you so much. Always appreciate seeing you.
Thank you, Charles.
All right, folks, later in the show, millennials